Welcome to the Motley Croc Show, February 6, 2025. It seems like it was just January, not less than a moment ago. So, anyways, I hope everybody's doing good out there. It's been a great time catching up. We're going to grab up with the Manic Satanic, and we're going to be bringing in Brit Investigates. And now I can scream in my microphone. Anyways, how's everybody doing? And we'll talk about some odds and ends this week, some stuff coming up, and we'll just see how it's going, and we'll touch base while everybody's kind of logging in. I think.
Sounds good.
Can you hear me, Jeff? Hold on. You're muted.
Jeff's mic is muted.
Can you hear me now?
Ah, boy.
Yeah, I can hear you.
What's up, Exploring? How you doing, buddy?
Hey, Exploring.
I don't know which one of you it is. I know there's two of you, but yeah. Yo, Sean, what's going on, buddy? Good to see you.
Justin or Luke. You never know which one it is.
Never know which one
like
it is.
a
Bill, how
mystery.
you doing? Yep, let's bring it on. Talk about some fun stuff. Yeah, we're having a good time. Some topics, Brittany, you're going to touch on, man. I think hidden history is pretty cool, and a few things like that. So we definitely want to get into that. And how's everything else, Jeff? How are you doing this?
Good, man. Good. I picked up a contract finally.
Hey,
I'm
Luke.
gonna be, up in Gainesville.
Good.
For 2 weeks. Starting, I think March 3rd. So at University of Florida, Shands, a big trauma center. So it should be fun and exciting. And
Wonderful.
yeah, it's a level up as far as trauma goes. So it should be really cool.
Good, man.
That's
You got it.
awesome.
I figured you would. It didn't even take you a week, bro.
I know. Actually, I had to choose from a couple, and I took that because it was good, to start getting my feet wet as far as traveling, and I could still come home every week and take care of the animals and everything. So
That's awesome.
a lot less stressful.
I'm still trying to get my frogs to eat. They are just.
Man. What do you feed them? Flightless fruit flies? Flightless fruit fries? You know what I mean?
No, slivers of liver and chicken hearts.
Say that 10 times fast. Slivers of liver and flightless fruit flies. Flightless fruit flies. You know.
They just are fighting me.
Yeah, they're a little big for fruit flies, aren't they? I mean, they're eating like chicken hearts and stuff, don't they?
Nice.
Yeah, they're the size of like a teacup saucer. So
are they like Pac-Man frogs or river toads?
The African
pixie.
African bullfrogs. Yeah, sorry, I had a brain.
You have a pixie too, don't you? You have a horn frog. I gave you a horn frog.
I do. A little bastard.
Is he? Yeah, but they're cool looking.
No, he is cool.
I'm
working with him. And I do have the Bufo. Big mama.
How you doing, Seth?
She I am lucky she ate all 4 of her chicken hearts right after this cold winter burst. But my other 2, man, I had to dig them up out of their earth. And they were like, "What are you doing?" And then I put them in water and they're like, "Oh, we're okay with this." Okay. And then I'm like, "Now you need to eat." And they're like, "No." And they have crickets and stuff in there. And I see the crickets still walking around. So it's not like they're starving, but they just won't eat the good stuff.
I'm like, put the effort in.
Yeah.
Laziness. Typical lazy frogs.
Well, the one of them just shed. So like all of her skin is in her thing. Like I have to clean it out. Like she did it today. She sat soaked and it just peeled off.
Do, like geckos.
Some of them do, but I don't know that they consume their own skin. I know there are some frogs that do it. I've seen tree frogs doing it.
Yeah, these 2 don't. Like it literally stays in their bowl and sticks to the side. And like Wesley, I had to pull it off his face and I had to help pull it off his eye. He was like,
yeah, they dry it on there for you. So man.
My bearded dragon got big. Jingles is like, she just went through 3 sheds in a matter of a couple months. Crazy. I'm like, why are you shedding so? What the heck?
Jingle went through some trauma. She witnessed a murder. So, I mean, that's...
Oh, man.
She did. But let me tell you what, she gets all the love and attention now. That spoiled little munchkin. She's the best.
Freaking what kind of frog is Jingles now?
Jingles is a bearded dragon. Okay. Yeah. She's the toothless of our family.
Like a sunfire.
Oh yeah, and it's real bright right now because she just went through that. You know, like when it gets real kind of like dark and she's about to peel, like shed. Yeah. Man, Troy, it is like fiery orange red.
Those things get black sometimes.
Like dueling dragon.
Well, what I mean by that, for those of you watching, what I mean by witnessed a murder was there was a father fighting over custody, or how many times he gets to see his kid, and he decided to kill his child in there, and the animals were in that room with the kid, and then he killed himself. And this happened. right by me a couple months ago. And so, of course, FWC reached out. We had to get some animals, and it was a murder-suicide, a child, a parent. And, after reading about it, it's just people. They just get really ridiculous over, custody and kids. And it becomes selfish then, I think.
Yeah.
If you
100%.
complain about that, that's a little selfish, I think. And we really need to
terrible.
cut back on that dumb shit.
You don't realize it's about the damn kids.
They don't.
Sometimes parents just look at their kids as like a pawn in their game.
Yep. Oh yeah.
To get to the other parent, and that's what they do, and it's horrible.
Yeah.
I mean, it's human nature, I guess. But
my baby's
you're
mom's
right.
pretty good as far as like the baby stuff goes.
I'm just here to talk shit and annoy people. I mean, I've got so much, and one of the reasons I put up the stuff about being sheeple is, come on, man. Like I understand there are some things that people send me and they want me to talk about and stuff, and I don't really get too much on people's views here with what they want their state or country politics, and I don't get into too much of it. But there's a lot of stuff that's really. They really don't know what they're talking about, and
it's a money grab,
and they send stuff right, and it isn't even so much both. Nobody now that's whatever you want to call them, Nazis or toxic white male masculinity, toxic men over the age of 40. None of them are bothering me. They don't send me anything. Nobody bothers me. What's bothering me now is people like, oh, you're one of them, and you're a money grabber Republican, what they called me, because you keep animals for profit and you do this. And I got this thing about my kangaroo and how I abuse it and stuff because I film with him and I let him box me and shit like that. And these people who have never had or owned a kangaroo or understand how they work in their pods or anything. Sparring is a real good form of enrichment for them and they have a good time. And if I go in there and he wants to play a little bit and spar with me, I hug him and play with him. I'm not abusing anything. But, you get all these little animals and they cry about it. And they've never even left their house. They're still wearing like My Little Pony T-shirts and Pikachu. And they're 25 years old.
Hats into sweaters. And
yes. And I'm like, stop talking to me about that. So, you must like this and that and stuff. And okay, I like whatever. But like, if you're going to come at me with something, I don't care if it's politics or your interesting religion, know both sides of it before you approach me. Right. Because to me, there's no difference between Krampus and Satan. Right. So to tell what they're telling me now is, I've been watching what goes on in Hollywood and you're one of those Hollywood guys. You sold out to the Illuminati and you're a Satanist. When you say that to me, all it's going to make me do is be the best Satanist you've ever seen. Because I'll live up to your fantasy. I'll pretend that there's something there if that's what you want me to do. And yeah,
oh my
I
God.
think everybody blames this imaginary friend Satan for everybody's disgusting problems. No, it's you.
Humanity, man.
Has nothing to do with Satan, has nothing to do with Hitler, has nothing to do with Nazis. Nazi regime is not taking over. Nobody in the political, wasn't Biden, wasn't Kamala, wasn't Trump, wasn't J.D. Vance. None of them are the Antichrist. I don't want to hear any more of this dumb shit. And the 13 to 18% of you that are bitching at me about the way the world sucks, then fuck off and move. That's what I want you to do. If you don't like it, get the fuck out of here. We all have to go through things we don't like. And I know you're tuned in. I can see the amount of people on my end here that are coming in. And you're mad at me for it. If you don't like it, fuck straight off. Don't talk to me about it. And stop blaming imaginary creatures for your problems. And old regimes. Exactly, Jeff. And old regimes. And all this and that. Elon Musk is reincarnated Hitler. Shut the fuck up with that. I'm so tired of it. And stop sending it to me. I'm telling you people, stop sending it to me.
Yeah.
Okay. People who are awkward, like family members of mine and friends of mine that are autistic, do things a little bit differently sometimes. And then somebody finds a way to manipulate it. Just like Jason Momoa. He was standing at a party or a premiere with his kids, and he put his hand on his daughter's chest over her shoulder, like anybody does, just holding it. And they go, look at him. He's trying to touch her breasts. He's molesting his kids. And I'm like, there they go, dude. Here comes a ding-a-ling. There's a ding-a-ling. When that's the farthest thing from the truth there is. And so that's what I mean by sheeple. If you're led, and you sit and you watch reels, you know who you are. You're a bunch of fucking idiots. You sit and you watch reels. I watch reels of people getting blown up or driving their car through a gas station and catching fire and getting out of the car running, or criminals running from the police on fire because they blew their car up and they're getting tased and shot.
I like bait bike videos.
Yeah.
They're bait person.
But if you're watching 19-year-old candidates are going to stand against Elon, or this kid's got your back, and you're led by these Instagram things on either side of the fucking spectrum. You're a douche nozzle. 100% stupid fuck. You need to shut up. You need to stop posting stuff about it. You know nothing about it, and shut up. Shut up.
No gods, no magic.
Or learn about it before you start approaching people with it. Because I could take everything in my algorithm that's sent to me and make it as fact.
Oh my God.
My God. Yeah. You could write a book.
It's not even fun. They don't even try.
No, and they don't. And my point is, if you're a human being and you're led by social media that bad, if you are led by, I see stuff on social media like, God, what the fuck, bro? And then I look into it. I'm like, okay, let me take a week and really look through what they're talking about here. And then you really read between the lines, and it's just like people that take other things and twist it into what they want and put it in media. Fine. It's okay.
Bake anything to look like what you want it to look like.
That's right, Jeff. And it's okay to do that if you're trying to get views and stuff. But if you truly believe it and you think you're going to change the world, you ain't changing a fucking thing. This has been going on since the beginning of time.
Yeah.
So make the best of what you got and enjoy what you do. Steer your focus back into what you're doing.
Exactly.
Like maybe
stay in your fucking lane, people.
Working at a restaurant, taking care of animals, working for a zoo, working for a car dealership, being a mechanic, a tattoo person. Stick to that. Right?
Yeah.
And until all this other shit really affects you, then you get involved. But then you got to know both sides. You got to know what you're doing.
Yep.
All right? Yeah. Because it doesn't matter who you are, somebody hates us somewhere. All right? You're a hate. I get hate all the time. I'm sure I have a lot of spells cast on me from people.
That means I'm doing something right, man. If people hate me, that means I'm evoking emotions in people. And
exactly, bro.
As a human being.
And you're always going to piss somebody off by being you. I mean, it's so black and white. It doesn't matter what you believe in, what your religion is, what your political stance is. It doesn't matter. You're going to piss somebody off. It's just going to happen.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. No, it's
brings on your emotions. It's called manipulation.
Man. It's a scary world right now that
idiots have voices
going on right now, and who knows when the smoke clears what's going to be going on.
The same shit that's always been going on, Jeff.
Yeah.
Cover-ups and bullshit, and you and I are going to keep working and doing what we're doing, having a good time at life until we die. And we're going to think about the memories of our friends and family and the cool shit that we did. And remember that time? I don't even get involved in the dumb shit anymore. I think we get way too involved in other people's bullshit. Is what we do.
Mm-hmm. I spent my life just in responsible but cool pursuits. I've had some jobs that just people are like, what the fuck? I repoed cars, I repoed people. I fucking
had a good time. And you know what? There's somebody out there repoing cars and people right now. No matter how many people you repoed.
And I love every minute of it too.
So you repoed all those people, and all those people that you repoed, it didn't stop crime. It's still there. And you did your part, which means it's never going to change. Exactly. It doesn't matter how many police officers you have, how many policies go into play, how many stuff. And all I care about is my family and friends. All right?
I agree. That's it,
don't come in here. I'm telling you as an American, don't go to another country, put your fucking flag around your neck, and then burn that country's flag and expect them not to like you. That's just not going to fly. Okay? Yeah. I'm not going down to Belize and burning the flag in Belize and tying an American flag around my neck and say we're taking over. Not going to happen. So get your shit together. I'm not against people coming to the United States, and I'm going to say it out here in public. I'm not against that. I don't care. This land is free. Come make something for yourself. But don't come here wrapping your dumb shit around here and protesting, man, because you're going to piss off the masses eventually. And then you're going to be marching in the streets, and you're going to watch when the militias and the village, when they start putting them, like I was reading today, some of these good old boys are putting those big those rail splitters that you see on the trains that move cattle guards off on their trucks. And if you don't think for 1 second there's a crazy motherfucker on that side, like you're a crazy motherfucker on this side, be cool with that. You're going to block traffic, and they're just going to drive over you like hitting a goddamn bug, dude.
Mm-hmm.
So when it happens, you got no one to blame but yourself. You can't blame Satan. You can't blame me. You can't blame Jeff. You can't blame Brittany or God or Jesus or Alibaba or Allah or the Torah or Muhammad Ali or Mike Tyson. You have to blame yourself.
I have to blame Mike Tyson for a lot of shit.
Blame yourself. You want to battle something you're against, you get into the fucking place and you do it right. You petition. Mm-hmm. You petition your leaders or wherever you are, and that's what you do. And if it doesn't work, you keep at it. But resorting to trying to hold things up and ruin stuff and act like an idiot over here. Come on. I'm just tired of seeing it now. I mean, this has gone on. This is just, and then people are mad at me because I don't share their fucking propaganda. I'm not sharing anybody who's watching me. I'm not sharing any of your propaganda. You can send me out of all 60-something thousand people. You want to send me stuff? If it's propaganda on either side, I'm not sharing it. If it's funny and it's humor and something's cool, or, a duck attacked a snake and won, I'll post it. But as far as the rest of your propaganda, your flip-sided shit, I'm not doing that. Because somebody doesn't care about what you care about. Do you understand that? Yeah. You're the only one that cares about it, right? Yeah. So find the group that cares about it, and you guys get together, light a fire, hold hands, and fucking get your little battle plan together. Get your ponies out, get your Pokemon cards, whatever the fuck you're gonna do. Your witch's brew, your whatever it is you do, your incense, and you make it happen. Don't go out into the world and start trouble. And I will not share propaganda on any side. I don't pick sides. I don't have anything to do with that. Mm-mm. And I've been getting it a lot lately, and it has been really affecting my mood.
It just amazes
because
me that they would.
You're mad at me because why is it amazing to you?
Because
I have friends in all walks of life, and they get fucking. Yeah, very well said, brother. I like that too. And listen, I come from a family of military. So when you trash the military, I have friends, man. I've had friends that have died in the military.
That bothers me.
Working. I've had friends that were in law enforcement that have died. I have friends that have, and family that have died or made it through wars. When you sit there and trash that stuff, I'm not gonna look out for you. I'm not gonna do that.
Agree.
I'm not gonna do it. I don't think we should kill tattoo artists. I don't think we should, because they're signing people's names to Satan or such as body piercing or bounty hunters or anybody doing a job. I think when you do stuff like that and you want that, I'm not supporting it. And I've been getting a lot of that, Brittany, and it's really fucking pissing me off. And when you do
ridiculous.
That to me,
it's absolutely absurd.
I love the
it's in my fucking algorithm, and then I have to try to get away from it.
Yep. Yeah, it's ridiculous. It shouldn't be allowed. Then the sad part that I've seen more and more lately is that people are just not grown adults anymore. No one knows how to be an adult. No one knows how to just say, hey, you don't see the way I see. That's cool, man. Let's just go have some fun tonight anyway. When we were growing up, we could have differences of opinion, but it didn't stop our friendship because we respected each other. And society has lost respect. And it comes down to, well, if you don't believe the way I believe, then screw you. Burn everything in your home. You shouldn't live. And everybody becomes a freaking child, like a toddler.
What's up, big dog?
And instead of giving them pacifiers and baby bottles, we should be teaching them how to be a real adult. And if they can't, tough. Sorry. I'm over it as well. And I've tried very hard to keep my peace.
We all are. The whole world is. I mean, it's only a certain amount of people, Jeff, that propagate this shit on either side of the fence.
I'll tell you too.
Just roll out. Be a big boy, roll it out. Not everybody wanted to go through the fucking Democrats for 4 years. They sucked it up and they went through it. Okay? Just like everybody else did. Some people don't run Republicans, so you got to suck it up until you get through it. If you don't like it in 4 years, revote.
No matter what. But it doesn't matter what political party you're on. Just be an adult. If your guy didn't win, he didn't win. Okay? It's all right.
Behavior
yep.
Grow up.
Exactly. It's just to me it's insane.
And the boo-hoo crap. I'm done with all that shit. Man.
I'm with you, bro. Like you're not doing anything by screaming, doing primal screams. All 15 of you go to the mountain in Hollywood and do a primal scream. Oh, that really accomplished so much. Oh,
changed the world.
Man, he changed the whole world with that one. Primal scream.
Yep.
I don't like that I get them in my algorithm from time to time, like these full-blown mental breakdowns of crying into their phones.
Why would you put that on the internet to show how unstable you are?
That's what I mean. Like, if you really feel that way, do it in the privacy of your own home. You just showed people that you're medically insane and you need to be locked up or treated properly because you're not stable.
Or you're allowing Meta to dictate what you think via algorithm.
That too.
Yep.
That too. Absolutely.
I'm sorry. Jeff and I got to grow up in a lot of shit. We saw the Berlin Wall come down, didn't we, Jeff? Remember all that shit? Remember that? Yeah. Remember when they tried to, one of the greatest things, I know people hate me like, oh, Ronald Reagan was a fucking piece of shit. You know what he said that I always thought was cool? He said, let me tell you what the worst thing you can hear. I'm your government and I'm here to help. You never want to hear that.
No,
he said that.
No.
That motherfucker said that.
Not.
Then someone tried to kill his ass. And then he was up speaking again and someone popped a balloon and he stopped in mid-sentence. He goes, you missed. I thought, bro, if you got that sense of humor, you're funny to me, man.
Yeah,
now,
Viking
I know
right
every
there.
politician makes mistakes or whatever, tricky dick, whatever. But we've had some good shit. It's all a big show, guys. But when you're letting meta dictate to you or news or any of that, and you're really not talking to
the
people
government
or educating yourself, right? You're and I see some of these people post things that are my friends that I know, and they put something up, and I'm like, there are going to be scholars and people who are intelligent that are above you in the workforce or in anything. They're going to see this and go, what the fuck idiot do I have working for me?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You know why? People say, oh, Troy, will you do this? And one thing I won't do, I'm not going to go out and do shit to ruin what I do for a living. I work in an industry where I have to deal with all kinds of people, just like you do, Jeff, right?
Oh, yeah.
TV is the same thing. We're whatever characters they want to make us. But as far as my business goes and my company, I have to walk with all walks of life, which I don't care about. I don't care. Right. So if they're having a big invention and it's going to be this convention for this person or that person or this party or this party side or that part, I don't go in there and give. I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
I don't voice that. You know why? Because you lose out. And in the end, you lose. So you can become a little fighter, but in the end, you're going to lose because, again, like Brittany said, you have not grown up. Sometimes it needs to be left out of stuff. And to me, entertainment, like what we're doing here or on social media, should be entertainment.
Damn right. We're
turning it into it should be entertainment, not
100%
political. We see there's enough political shit going on that we need to take care of, and we need to go and watch the meetings. We need to go to legislation and watch what's going on for our own personal protection on whatever your side, whatever you want to believe in, or whatever it is. Yeah. But I think social media should be fun, like we're doing when we talk about what we're going to get into here in just a minute, like covering history. I don't know if anybody remembers this, but do you remember when they were going around and destroying a lot of history?
Yes.
Like the statues and stuff, you mean?
Yeah, and the pyramids.
Absolutely absurd.
They were trying to get into to destroy it, to try to erase so they can start a new religion. If that doesn't tell you anything and how many times that's been done, you need to wake up on that.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And I'd like to know, and I say this too, and this pisses them off. And they're going to get pissed off at me for saying this. They always talk, everything's the devil's fault. Drugs, rock and roll, pornography, sex trafficking.
All the fun stuff.
It's all the stuff the devil's fault, right? And child sex trafficking stuff. It's not good stuff. It's all blamed on this devil.
Nothing good, Samantha.
That's not even as old as this. How did this new guy show up out of the universe? Okay, right? And just create all this havoc in 2,000 years when the world's been having their own shit for 20,000 years. How does he get all the blame? Why can't we blame the Egyptians?
Yeah.
Why can't we blame we can't blame the Bible, the Torah, the Quran, because they're too new. That's too new of a religion to blame. It's too new.
Yeah. You have to attack the oldest.
And those are the only ones that attack you. I haven't had anybody from Judaism attack me yet. It's always a Christian that's attacking me still. Oh, stop it. Careful now. Now it'll be a whole thing. And they'll be like, see, Jeff's part of it. That's why he's there. He's part of it. So that's my point.
Yeah, we're like,
and they blame this monster that to me doesn't even exist. It might to some of you, and that's great. But they blame this monster that wasn't created until what, 1482? It was some Italian painting that made this monster that today, and they're blaming it. It's people. It's you. You're doing this. You choose to fucking rape somebody. You choose to kill people for money. You choose to use people in countries for money. Not any monsters or Godzilla or Krampus or St. Nicholas or any. You can't blame Skeletor. I'd like to blame Skeletor. I love him. But he's just about as real as Satan. So you cannot blame this and come at me with that stuff and expect me not to get mad. Now, I'm not saying, I'm trying to be realistic. Like, have your faith in your religion, but don't use it as a tool to benefit you, I guess.
Yeah.
How's that?
Put other people down. That's the thing I get
Don't use it for power.
That if you're different from me, if you believe different and worship different, look different, feel different, you're not as good as I am. Either you're this or you're nothing.
We're really not I agree. And we're not the land of milk and honey. Like when I was a kid, they're talking about, here comes Christopher Columbus and whatever comes in. We're not, we taught that as like we are humans. We have been a violent, controlling, taking species since we started.
Greedy.
Yes.
pieces of shit.
Not all humans are like that. There isn't all humans aren't like that. But they always used to say, well, money is the root of all evil. Nope, it's not. It's you. Money makes you who you really are.
Yep. Because some people have lots of money and do great things with it.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. But and people that live on those levels, like, try to convince you of weird shit that's not true or whatever, or whatever. They live on different planets. These extremely wealthy people, and human life does not mean anything to them. It doesn't matter if they're children. If they say you can live forever, you just have to kill a baby a month, they'll probably do it. I'm not saying they do. I'm saying, but they probably would. You have to drink one baby a month to stay young forever like a vampire.
Now they tell me.
But they would do it. So it's just totally. Yeah. Jimmy Buffett said it best: religion is the hands of the crazy ass people. Yep.
Yeah, that's true.
Now, what about this? What's going on? And I just saw this come up, and I was reading about it in a news channel, not like NBC. Just I like to read different news things. And what's this changing the consent from 18 to 9 years old overseas? What's that about? Is that a real thing?
I didn't see anything about that.
Oh man, I know. I was talking with I think Marissa about it. All in the name of religion. All in the name of religion. Like, I mean, don't we have a group of people that live out in like the western United States somewhere, Utah or something, and can't they marry like 12-year-olds and stuff and have 13, 14, 15, 16 wives?
Yeah.
And they do it, right?
Yeah. They do it through like a religious context.
Exactly.
They can do it.
There it is, guys. Because we have that separation of religion to a church and state, right? The separation of church and state.
Yep. And it allows them to do these types of Yep.
There we go. That's Islam religion. Yeah. Look at it and see if you find something on it, Jeff. I just saw something.
I saw 12 years old in Angola and the Philippines.
Oh God. Well, I just read an article. I did read an article about one. There was a little child. There was a little child. Yeah, but there was a child, I think, that was raped by a bunch of them over there for some practice until her insides blew up or something and she died. And they had pictures of the body and everything. I didn't send it to you because I didn't want you upset, Brittany, but I saw it. I saw the blood and these guys filmed it. It was something else. And it's okay to them.
Because they're disgusting human beings. And I'll say that right now on live YouTube. I don't care. You are a disgusting human being if you do this and film it and you laugh about it. The nature of you should not exist.
But it does, and it always will
not exist. And there should be no lines from that lineage. You should not exist on this planet, period. Or if you do, then 20 people should do it to you.
So they marry as young as 6, but they don't have sex until she has her first period. Oh, okay. So you can marry a 6-year-old. Okay, good.
It's sick. Sick. You're a sick bastard. You're sick.
I think children should be children for as long as they should be allowed to be children.
100%. 100%. You're not going to change me otherwise. And if I lose followers for it, I don't want you as a follower. You're a sick
but I'm saying,
bastard.
And that's my point. And that's what's being popped around. And finally, it's real. That stuff's been going on forever, Brittany. We just didn't know about it. Now we have access to it.
Well, it's been going on here too. I mean, the parts of the southern United States and Appalachia.
Yep.
Not that I don't love everybody that lives there. I'm just saying, statistically, their child brides are not an uncommon thing to see, or some of the more strict religions, fundamental Mormonism and so on.
Yep, same thing.
Yep.
Same style of shit.
Yep.
And that's what we do. And that's humans. And that's what I'm saying, people. That's humans, and that's what they do, and it's never going to change.
Sadly,
so people hate me for this, but I'm not involved in that. You fucking do what you do. And when you join the next side and you journey over to the next world, whatever happens to you, happens to you. I just have to focus on what I got going on and my friends and family, my community, man.
It's still hard.
You ain't saving the world. You're not saving the world.
It's still hard to hear because, like, if you stop and you think about it, that's, I think, what, like, for somebody like me is what aches me. Like, I want to fix problems. So when something like this happens, you go, I can't fix it. So I know a little kid is suffering somewhere, like being tortured at the hands of evil, right? And I can't fix it. Like, I can't go in like the Punisher and have my field day and just feel so good eating popcorn afterwards, even though I want to. You know what I mean? So I'm like, man.
I just want to say this. There are some people that I know that people get uncomfortable, but I don't really care. I don't care. And I will talk about Giants in just a second. there are some people that just are never going to get it, right?
Nope.
And they just control and control and control, or they trash wherever they're at or whatever. I personally like where I live. I like Florida. I like America. Is there some corruption in it? Yes, but I do like it. And we're not the end all evil of the world. It's every single country has its own evil shit. We all contribute to some evil, right?
Yep. In some way.
But Americans trash in their own country that they live in. Get the fuck out of here and go live somewhere else. Take your little fucking bullshit and go over there and do it over there where you think you want to be. I don't care where you're from. You can be born here. If you don't like it, don't get on here and complain to the rest of us. There's bad shit everywhere you go. Go do it over there. Stop coming up with a fucking issue and fix the problem. Goodbye. Now, Brittany, let's talk about some Giants, because I'm sure there's some people on here that want to nerd out on some Giant shit, and that goes way back too. There's some Giants that have been known to be around from a lot of different walks of life.
I know we talked about the Afghanistan Giants, the redheaded Giants, and
right.
There was
I mean, that goes back into a lot of people's faith too. Like a lot of different faiths talk about giants.
Even Judaism, you have the Philistines, which were giants. David and Goliath, case in point.
That's amazing to me.
You know, and all it took was a little stone. He was done.
Yeah, wasn't that cool story? Cool story, bro.
You know what's really funny? There was like those Mythbusters. It wasn't the Mythbusters, but it was a different. Sorry, I had to fix my pillow. A certain type of Mythbusters. They were like, it's impossible for someone like looking at the size to like rotate the speed of a rock and literally kill somebody.
It's definitely not impossible.
Right. So like they ran the experiment based off the distance and the size of what David and Goliath would have been. And literally, if you do it just right, they prove there are two spots on like in the brain that if it's hit at the right area, it can kill you just on the spot. And that's exactly what happened. So in a sense, it was like really good lucky shot, but he got him. Yeah, like he got him. And then they were like, well, there it is. But it's not unheard of, you know. So but like if you think about giants and you look at like you guys were just mentioning, how much history of giants has been around for centuries, right? So we talk about ancient texts and to different cultures. In those cultures, those individuals just wrote what was going on. There was no storytelling. It was just facts. Like, here's what we were up against. This is what we dealt with. Here's the narrative. This is what it is. We have interpreted that or taken that into how we want it to be through a theory or a proposed mythological story, but there is truth to it. There is actual truth to these accounts.
I believe that.
And not all, rubes that are seeing giants. It's, important, smart people. So
well, no, exactly.
Yeah, and even back then when they talked the story, it's like, hey guys, this is what we fought against. These people were huge, and they were trying to take this or whatever, and they just talked about it. It was just documented. It wasn't like, tonight, giants roam through the jungles. It wasn't like that. I'm out there. It's the middle of nowhere. I'm like, Jeff, something was fucking like 8 feet tall, looked like a person, threw a goddamn tree at me. We go back out there. We try to fight it. And we got to go back, and we're documenting it. We're making up a story. We're documenting it.
Exactly.
Right?
Right. That's right. And that's
the big question is, there are people on the planet that know it's real or whatever.
Yeah.
Why are we hiding it? Why are we trying to hide all of that? Why are we trying to hide it? For what's the purpose of hiding that? For what?
There's a lot of history that would be forced to change. When you come into, like, they change, people don't realize how often they change historical books or history books that are being taught all the time. There's a constant flow of a certain idea that has to like stay in place, and it's a control of the masses. The moment you start unraveling what has been taught for over 100 years, that these things were all lies, these things were cover-ups, what else are they lying about? You start to unravel this woven blanket that you've tried to create for the past 100 years. When it comes to giants, the problem is a debate of, you now have biblical terms coming into it. Hi, Ange. You now have ancient texts from different civilization and cultures coming into it, talking about giant races, you then also have to acknowledge Native American culture who talks about giants that they lived amongst. Yep. And look at what we do to Native American culture today and the Native belief and everywhere. This is all over the world what we do to indigenous or Native people, right? So that means
I also think we're bigger. We're growing bigger.
Humans. Oh yeah.
Because my house was built in 78, and you know how many things I've had to redo just so I can walk around in it and do stuff. Like bring the sink up, because I'm sitting here like I can't, you know. And then I see these kids these days that are 6'5", 6'7", and they're like 16, 17 years old. I mean, we just go up and down. I mean, it goes up and down. I mean, people were just a lot smaller back in the day, man. They just were a little smaller. So maybe if a guy that was abnormal, like Abe Lincoln was tall,
but then you have to also look at what we're also taught about environmental making us shorter and making animals and everything smaller. That's actually not necessarily the case then. Because if that was the case, we would continue to keep getting smaller because of our environment, especially with the ozone, according to science and alleged, going away. Farts. Yeah. So it's like we are told a constant spill of whatever they want to tell us. And what's really fascinating is something I've been learning recently.
You are born in the tall era. You're just, yes. I think Samantha is just because, but aren't you have some people in your family or your lineage that come from shorter people. So that's where they got you. That sucks. I'm sorry, Sam. That sucks.
Yeah, no, I'm short, so.
I'm short. I'm 5'4". What do you want from me? Yeah? Hello. I'm not getting any bigger.
You got. I guess I'm average for a guy, but I just feel short. I was in a restaurant the other day, and I kept noticing everybody that walked in looked like they were unusually tall. You know, like well over 6 feet. Everybody, men, women. I was like, there must have been like, a basketball camp down the street. It was crazy.
It's just, here's the interesting part that I found in my research. I did a very harsh deep dive into giants, and I dug very deep. And the more that I dug and the more that I researched and the more people in academic positions that I spoke to, the more I found this ridiculous trail connected to the Smithsonian. And this is the biggest fight that I get with people. And this is all my personal opinion from my personal research. No one has to believe whatever you want. But if you really follow it, and I know we've talked about this multiple times about follow the trail of money. What do you get? Okay. What do you find? Right? So everybody's always like, oh, the Smithsonian has every good interest at heart. They just want to find, they want to be a part of the next big discovery. But when you actually go on the backside of the Smithsonian within the company itself, it is government funded. Yep. Okay. So you have a government position. You have to make sure you are following by those guidelines within the Smithsonian. If you go back into Smithsonian's work when discoveries were made, they would hire what would be considered like not necessarily a degreed like anthropologist or archaeologist. It would just be an amateur archaeologist who would join the forces of Smithsonian to help investigate and find incredible historical discoveries, right? When they would find said discoveries, universities would get involved. You'd get multiple universities that would come and verify the findings from the said archaeologist or paleontologist or whatever they were looking for. And then they were relieved of their job by the Smithsonian. The Smithsonian would then come in with crates, boxes, a whole deal, and you were relieved of your position. You were relieved of your job. Same thing happened to Kincaid in the Grand Canyon. You were relieved. He fought against it. Now, he did fight against it after the discovery, and he was relieved of that position. And he said, you guys had me do this mission twice to confirm that there were actual Egyptian mummies inside the Grand Canyon. I found all of the artifacts and the mummies. I presented them to you, and now you have relieved me of my job. And now you have smeared my name. You have said that I was never hired by you, but I was. I have the documentation. I have all of the letters corresponding with you and several universities of the said findings. And you're telling me I never did my job. They smeared his name after all of that happened. The same thing happened on Catalina Island when giant bones were found. To date, there is the nastiest people that will come out and attack you because they believe what they read on Google. But the gentleman that literally uncovered the first set of giant remains were believed to be original natives to the island. And we're talking like 8-foot tall beings that he uncovered. Guess who got involved? New York and Washington, and then the Smithsonian. And they smeared his name. They called him crazy.
So
they
the
did
bigger
everything.
picture is, why are they doing that? Why are they hiding it is what I want to know. Why is it, you know what I mean? Why hide all that?
What's the end game?
Because here's
what I want to know.
Here's
Why
the
not just
problem.
be honest with the people? Hey, humans lived here a long time ago, and because of this, the way it was, the whatever you want to call it, they were this tall, or they were of this species of human, and they became extinct. Why don't we?
This has been a massive conversation in the area of ancient history, right? Or actually ancient astronaut theory as well, because when you look at all of these incidents, you go, why is the government choosing to cover this up when we have so much documentation to back it? And then they basically say we're crazy. And like, even if you go out to Nevada and you talk about the Lovelock Caves, which is home to the red-headed giants, if you look at the history of where these giants claim to have lived, they lived in cave systems. They didn't live above ground. Same thing overseas with the military involved with a lot of the different statements that have come out, and they keep their face, covered and their voice changed for protection of themselves. It comes back down to what they believe. And some of the ones that I've talked to from different areas of this field is that some of them basically say it challenges the narrative of God, the time in which we would have been creative and evolved, the time in which land would have been conquered by certain conquerors that we have been taught that now we know is not actually true. It changes everything from the beginning of what Rockefeller had basically put into place. And I've done so much back work and interesting actual research that people can go to a library and actually pull it up through archival records of even our context table of understanding layers of sediment. This was created by 3 individuals that just had a theory and was completely against the narrative.
So here's
of
what's
everything.
Interesting to me. Like if you take Bible or the Middle East, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I was looking at this because it's interesting. So for instance, in let's just say over in the Middle East and Israel, the Jewish men, the average Jewish man 2,000 years ago was between 5'2" and 5'5". That's it.
Mm-hmm.
They were not tall.
Mm-hmm.
However, same time period. So the same time period, the average European, hunter-gatherer Europeans from that era were 6'0" to 6'4". So if you travel over there and you're 6'4", that's Justin's height, and you go up against someone your height, that's a grown man, Brittany, but your height, I think you would be mistaken as a giant, depending on their body structure and their girth. And if they're coming over in battle and they are those type of gatherer or hunter-gatherers or whatever, and they've got gear, which makes them bigger, I mean, that would be mistaken as a giant too, right?
Oh, for sure. But that happened a lot with the Vikings because everybody has the misconception of their height. When Leif Erikson had come over.
Yeah, but they were they didn't even break 6 foot, most Vikings. I'm talking about.
No, I know.
We're talking about different parts of Europe.
No, I know, but I'm saying Vikings in general, when they traveled and did their conquering in different areas and they came across indigenous or different said tribes, some of those tribesmen were over 6 feet tall, like almost towering to 7 feet tall. And they wrote about this and they had to understand their language. Vikings met with other indigenous that were taller than them. And so we have stories of that, of prominent indigenous tribes and cultures that talked about having, like, some of their head warriors were very tall individuals, like 7 feet.
They were probably initiated for that, just like the Samoans.
Right.
You know, for thousands of years, they bred for that height. There was all kinds of traditions I was reading about. If you weren't at least if you weren't even 6 foot tall by the time you were 15, you were beheaded and you got to come back. Like, you would come back in a different body. That's that's breeding though, dude. That's breeding for height.
But my biggest challenge with all of this is that here's another narrative that people don't ever really think about, and it's something that I've written about, is like, for my own notes, not publicly, just so everybody knows. But in my own research and my theories is like, we have this idea of the human evolution of where we've come from and what we've evolved to today. Okay. Tell me, where do giants fit into that? It doesn't, because you wouldn't get a monstrous 8 foot tall giant from a tiny little monkey that everybody wants to believe through the evolutionary theory, right? So, like, if you're pushing that, it's hard to explain to somebody where a genus of giants now exists within that tree of evolution. Well, where does that come from? Why did it get so much bigger versus these people? Why did it get so much taller than Neanderthal? And we're still finding specimens of people that we didn't even know existed in the family genus. So for me, it's like, if we're willing to accept new findings of humans, right, that have evolved and now died off at certain eras of time, why wouldn't giants also be in there? Well, giants wouldn't be in there because they're massive. Where did they come from within the genus line? Because they have this whole structure of this skull represents this and this height and this environment. And we started very small, but we got very big in this area. And, anthropology has all of that basically in a scientific factor based off of a mere theory of evolution. And I've learned recently, some friends of mine that are literally in college right now in history and in different areas of mythology, and they're literally saying to their own professors within questions, saying, you're having me read this, right, as a fact, but the person who wrote this is literally saying there is no fact to this. This is merely a theory in which I have concluded while in the field of researching said part of history. But you, as my professor, are making me learn it and read it as fact. So
I don't know if you can see this, Brittany.
They're fighting.
This? Hold on. Let me get it to change. You see this?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That tribe is in South Sudan. They're called the Dinka tribe. That man standing next to them was over 6 foot. Every one of them were almost 7 feet tall, including their women.
Count the hair, or does that get?
Nope. That counts all of it, like their bodies. Those were headdresses. But let me try to get it up again. I want you to look at that.
Yeah, they're incredible. Look at the height.
Their head is. Yeah. Compared to them. And their women were averaging up between 6'5" to 6'8", and the men were over 7 feet in Sudan. And it was the Dinka tribe. That's pretty cool. So, so to me, there has to be some scientific reason that they're that tall, right?
Probably.
Rather it be they came from another planet, right?
Right.
And they were placed here to colonize. That theory is not out of the question. So for people who think it is, it's not. And then you have to think about why that is, because they talk about, think about the Inuit, the Eskimos that live up there, and they live off whale meat, and they're very resilient to cold. Like they can do things that we would probably just die, and they talk about their structure, right? The size of their bodies. They were a little bit shorter, but their nostrils are extremely wide. They have very, very large nostrils on their face because air is way thin in that area up there. So they have to be able to take more air in. So they actually adapted to their environment, right? It's like I was telling Marissa, we were talking about the difference between, pigment of skin. It's not about a person's skin color. It's about where they were from that makes them evolve from that area. Because you can take a European from England that never sees the sun and put them in a grass skirt. And you can take somebody from Africa and they have to do this trek across the desert. That dude's going to be dead in 20 minutes.
Yeah.
While the dude that's from Africa, very dark pigment, very dark black, he's going to be very resistant to his environment, his sun, And I think there's something to do with that with giants.
Yep.
I would imagine.
Go ahead, Jeff.
In places like Africa, the height over time and evolution would depend on what the landscape is like, how tall the canopy is, where the food sources are. Even with the darker skin, they evolved to be able to, not be as affected by the sun in places like
for survival. For survival.
So it's really all a matter of evolutionary survival. Right. That if we can't catch the animals we need to eat over generations, we need to become faster and more efficient so that we can do that. Or, just like they say fish were on land and then they went into the water and didn't need the feet anymore, so it was bred out of existence and things like that. So I think that
think about giraffes.
Right.
My ass, you said?
Yeah, your ass. Giraffes. Think about giraffes.
Giraffes. I was like, my ass. I wasn't thinking about it. Yeah, no, it's crazy. Yeah, giraffes probably were short-necked animals, and then over time they, evolved.
But they were still the same animal. You know what I mean? Like they just had to evolve and adapt to their environment.
Every generation, it's a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more. just like animals that have protective fur or blubber layers, or animals that have like an oil to keep the water from getting through their fur. If you ever watch like some of the nature shows and you see like the fur seals or the otters in like this freezing cold water and their fur's all wet, they probably don't ever even know it's wet because it's
they don't feel it.
It's like wearing what do they call those jackets? Like a duster. It's like oiled down so it repels the water.
Yeah.
Yep.
But here, like these are the things that like keep me up at night, right? So it's like this is a perfect example. The general public are taught a certain science and they don't like change, right? They believe that is a god. That science is the god and that is how it sits. So when we have this understanding, even in dinosaurs, nope, this is the existence of dinosaurs. This is when they lived. This is when they died. This is how they died. There is no exception to the rule, period. Right. And they laugh at you for challenging the exception to the rule, right? I read a long study, a scientific journal by a paleontologist who has come to believe in the possibility, and it was actually vetted by several universities, one being Cambridge, and 2 other known paleontologists and specialists regarding dinosaurs have come to the understanding that it is possible through their discovery that because the plesiosaur gave live birth, it's possible it was a mammal. Okay. Which
maybe it had a pouch. We don't know.
All I did was talk about this on a reel, just showcasing some really cool scientific information. It's a journal, people. It's real. It's out there, right?
Hold on,
but I was
see
attacked.
something. Kelly Wolf, my brother was supposed to be part of the short air, but we got him all caught up. Like, I think that this is Kelly Wolf, my cousin Kelly Wolf, I think. This is our cousin.
Oh my God.
Thank you for popping in, Kelly.
That's awesome.
Keep it in the family, man.
Yep. But okay, so train of thought. So my problem is this person decided to attack me and basically called me the idiot, the dumb one, for believing that a plesiosaur wasn't a reptile.
Hey, Julie.
And I literally was like, did you not read the scientific paper that I posted? I didn't say anything about me. I said, now it changes the narrative of how we're looking at this species. It may not have been a reptile. It is very possible it may have been warm-blooded. It is very possible it may have been a mammal. We do not have all the answers because we don't have a dead specimen, right? It may have had blubber to keep itself warm. It's also interesting that
everything we've been taught hasn't been real anything. So what
And
do we have anything to compare to?
No, but if we have paleontologists and we have scientists willing to sit there and go, hey, you know what? Some of our early research may have been wrong. Let's relook at this and evaluate here because we've now just
because everything changes, tools change, everything
and
changes.
You want to know why? And you want to know why this even became a conclusion? This is where it gets great. They had a full fossil with the baby in the tummy with no shell. It proves
okay,
that
Jim,
it was
you know
a
where to
live
find
birth.
us.
Yeah.
So that means they had one, like a whale, one.
They couldn't have all been reptiles. I mean, how many dinosaurs? And I'm not a paleontologist or a dinosaurologist.
Dinosaurologist. I'm fucking making you a shirt. We're making shirts, bro. Dinosaurologist. I want it too. I'm wearing it. And we have to. That's Jeff made that word up. That's Jeff's. He did it. Dinosaurologist is the shit. That's the best thing. Fuck, I wish I would have come up with that.
Didn't a lot of the dinosaurs have fur?
It depended on. It depends on the region.
Or feathers.
Or feathers, depending on the region. Like for instance, we actually have a dinosaur that lived in Texas. It was about 2 feet tall. It was like kind of like a chicken dinosaur. I'm not gonna lie, it was kind of cool, but it was a burrower. So you never would see it above ground during the day. It would only come out at night to hunt, but it was a burrower. And they discovered this through basically, I guess, testing and whatnot. But it was a burrower. So it's like we are still learning about dinosaurs. Like we're still learning their odd characteristics. We're still learning about different parts that they are. And it's interesting that they're not even teaching it that they all went extinct in science anymore. So like if you're in a class for paleontology, they do not teach that as an actual science anymore. They basically talk about now how dinosaurs did survive in different pockets and how they evolved and adapted to survive throughout history. And it's like, first of all, dinosaurs weren't even coined dinosaurs till 1847. They were all known as dragons before. The terrifying
I think the
lizards,
dinosaurs,
that's what they were known as.
I think they died off because the earth is flat and they walked off it.
Exactly. The cats knocked them off.
Yeah, dude, that's what
right.
happened.
That's right. Like a big ball.
Yeah.
You know, if you think about dinosaurs, you know, we were talking earlier about religion and God. I mean, there's so many, like, there's not a lot, but there's these different designs. You know, you have like your long neck dinosaurs, like your Brontosaurus and your
Right.
the other Dinosauruses, and then you have like your raptor types, you know, and with the hooks and the short little arms, or the T-Rexes. You know, I mean, you'd think that if there was an all-knowing being, he would have said, all right, I'm going to put 5 designs on Earth. You got the long neck guy, the armored guy, the funny guy with the short little arms and stuff like that. Wouldn't you think that they would have evolved into one perfect eating machine? Whatever was the best design. You know, the long neck dinosaurs didn't have to eat meat because they could get all the leaves off the trees.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
Sure.
you think, like, you know, it's
Jeff, life finds a way.
It always does. It's
by Jeff Goldblum.
I think I saw that movie on the Lifetime channel last week. Life finds a way.
I know, and that's really true. And I think that there's that always makes me think we're like in this big test tube. And
we're being lied to. First of all,
and they're just putting. There's a lot. Wait a minute, Brittany. There's a lot of documentation of dinosaurs and humans interacting.
Oh yes, but science. But
that they said it was impossible. I know,
but denies it.
You can't listen to mainstream
science. There has to be some overlap, because all wildlife
agreed
on the planet, because then there'd be nothing for anything to eat, so no life would be able to take hold. You know, if all of a sudden you're like, okay, from blah 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 AD to whatever.
That's true, Sean. That is wild.
There's no animals on Earth. Where's the first animal come from? All of a sudden there's an animal, but what do they eat?
Yeah.
You know, and
exactly.
I don't know. It just doesn't make any sense that they would piecemeal them back. There had to be some places where they were. I mean, they might not have lived in the same locality, but they might have lived one in Alaska and one in Hawaii. Who knows?
Right. And of course, as like our lands shifted, right? So certain animals may have died through that process. And I'm sure there's a lot of animals that we could have today, not just dinosaur, but just animals in general that we lost due to natural disasters that took place on this earth as it changed, evolved, and shifted, right? Like we know that that's a real thing. My biggest pet peeve, that these things that never come to light that you have to dig for, that I enjoy doing through scientific journals, is why do we have, I literally do. I'm not joking. But when I come across journals from scientists that have fossilized dinosaur skin that still has remaining tissue that they can actually take DNA sampling from. Now, why is that not mainstream media? And why are we not talking about it? You want to know why? Because how the hell does skin stay so well preserved over 65 million years? It can't, and it won't. And there is no scientist in this world that can back that actually with 100% proof, because carbon dating is the only thing through radio dating that we can use that will help us to the extent through scientific testing. And it can only go to 65,000 years at max. Everything after that is speculation, mere speculation.
I think there's a lot of that with paleontology and stuff like that, you know, nobody's ever, at least in modern times when they could write and describe one, nobody's ever seen a dinosaur up close. So as far as we know, so they can't say, well, they were this, and this.
100%.
It is all speculation. You know,
one of the things I thought was cool on that topic, Jeff, is where they talked about that was great, because the Tyrannosaurus Rex. I don't know if you've ever looked up when it said once they looked through the skeletal and they realized the vocalization they could make through their head and how they would call sounded totally different from what you hear in Jurassic Park.
Yeah,
I would have just died if I heard that out in the woods and asked to do some shit like that. I'd look at Jeff and be like, I'm going to go to bed now. And I would just die right there, because I'm not getting ate by whatever's making that sound.
He sent that to me and he was like, have you heard this? You need to listen to this.
It's a fucking coolest thing.
Oh, I'm sure they roar like a motherfucker. I mean.
Oh, no. It almost resembled what Casper. I'll send it to you, Jeff. You're going to be like, dude.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
You'll be like, dude, if I was out hunting somewhere and some did that in the woods, I'm done. And it was beyond a growl.
Bird and going home.
It ties in with the way dinosaurs could sound similar to certain birds like ratites and the sounds that they make.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure.
Ratites are the species of land bird like emus and, you know,
even
ostrich, etc.
Even if they're not closely related, at least they're on some evolutionary scale. Everything we have now has come from something else, unless you believe that some omnipresent being came and snapped the fingers and everything was on Earth all at the same time. But that doesn't make sense either, because they get a pretty good timeline. I mean, I imagine that the layers of sediment are pretty accurate as far as timeline goes. And being
but that was created by 3 individuals, though. That's the problem. It was theorized. There was no proper vetting to it in the mid 1800s when that was actually created.
No, wait a minute. That stop right there, and I'll tell you why. Jeff, you'll understand what I mean by this. So we live way back in the 1800s, right?
Yep.
They didn't have social media. They didn't have any of this cool stuff. And Jeff and I are out with these. We got wagons and horseback, and we write this big story. And I'm like, Jeff, we saw this. You get to be a hero.
Of course.
Right. And I see that to this day in academia. Not all academia like that, but a lot of times these guys, academics, guys and girls alike, will want to write a paper before the next guy so they can be the hero on paper. It doesn't matter how true it is, or what they think. It's just what they think. And even in the animal industry, we've suffered because some ding dong wrote something that they just didn't do the opposite study on. So this is gold now because it was published by, Dr. Frank, so-and-so from, the, University of Texas. And, so that could have been going on too. And to be quite honest, I'm not sure if the Earth is as old as they try to tell you it is, to be honest with you.
It lies about its age, I'm pretty sure. So
it has to, Jeff. Look how much we've come.
Is way wrong.
Jeff, just from when we were kids, Jeff, when we were kids to us right now, look at the technology that we have now from the time we were just children. Can you imagine?
The basic smartphone is more technology than anything we could have fit in our garage as a kid. It's
bro.
crazy.
When my grandpa was a kid, he said you could never look up at the sky and see satellites, dude.
Yeah.
As in stars, or as in like
satellites? Like satellites moving around in space. You didn't see it as in the moving. You didn't see that. There was nothing. So if something was moving up there, it was either a meteor or it was something else.
That's right.
But like my great grandfather, they didn't have commercial flights flying over all the time and all this kind of stuff. That was limited to. I mean, I know there was commercial flights and whatever, but the Wright brothers, etc. But that was just the beginning. So when I was a kid, you still didn't see as much as you see in the sky now. I mean, when I saw Starlink and I thought, oh, we're getting invaded. It's over.
They were sending it back from Canada.
By the way, real quick, Troy mentioned Wright brothers. Do you know that they were not officially the first to create an airplane, but they got coined for it?
Da Vinci?
No. Well, yes, he did have prototypes, but interestingly enough,
the first helicopter that never got built. I saw that.
But interestingly enough, the Wright brothers' father had gone on a business trip overseas, and he brought them back a replica of a toy plane.
From what? Where overseas?
I don't remember. I'll have to look it back up because he was a businessman. He would travel for work, and he came back, and I want to say Europe, somewhere in Europe. And he came back,
probably Germany,
probably, and they were doing prototypes, and they were showing off their planes, their little airplanes. And so it was said that night after their father's trip, learning about people creating large machinery or large contraptions for you to fly in, and they now had this toy airplane that they decided to be the first in America to create a said craft. So they weren't necessarily the first.
Ground?
Huh?
Weren't they the first to get off the ground or to fly? For a sustained amount.
That's what they said, but honestly, over the years,
that's right too, Seth.
So much more information has come out about the Wright brothers, about how they had in talks as they were older with other people that were also crafting airplanes at the time, like other aircraft, and learning aerodynamics and how things could actually get flight with birds. Like the one brother actually jumped off the roof of his house with a blanket or like a sheet or something to see what type of air, what temperature of air they would need to actually catch.
Right. Oh, to get the lift. Yeah. He was not the smart brother. He was probably the easy to talk
to. No, he as Jeff would say, he was the wrong brother.
Yeah, he was. I was going to say the wrong brother.
I had thought of it. I thought I was going to spit that out.
I remember reading that. I was like, what? Like it was in some paper. They're like, yeah, he actually, like it was a neighborhood paper at the time when the Wright brothers were little.
Well, I'll tell you who invented flight first. It had to be the Egyptians because they clearly had. That's true, Seth. I left it up. Humans who created timelines. But they have hieroglyphs of helicopters.
Yeah.
Oh my
God.
And
shit moving through the sky. I mean, God, and even Da Vinci, some of his paintings on some of
like the guy with the wings, the Da Vinci one, or the the helicopter apparatus. You ever watch?
It's like these guys pierced the veil. They got to see through the veil, Jeff, and then they start exposing it, and it was a problem.
Yeah, once you see the wizard, you realize he's just a little man.
I know, that's so true.
You ever see like the videos of like all the failed plane attempts like back before the Wright brothers? Like there's one with the umbrella that just goes up and down and it's supposed to lift it off the ground.
You see, what was the guy's name that jumped off the fucking tower the Eiffel Tower in France? He tried it too, remember? He had a flight.
I think his name was
Boom.
Oh my God.
And his last name was Boom. But he did it and he recorded it with like an 8mm thing all the way to the ground. Crazy. I just read about it. I thought that was really why you would think that was going to work. He jumped off there with a wingsuit, dude, with no testing.
Look, you got to give him props for trying out what he believed in.
The last thing he ever tried. He ain't got the guts to do that again. I promise.
Think about some of the first people to do things like trial and error stuff. Like, first guy to go deep sea diving. I bet he drowned.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
He's got like a 40-foot garden hose.
A lot of those guys died, Jeff. Those guys that were creating all those deep, those big copper, head things that seals would break. I mean, that was all trial and error, like the human testing, man.
And explosives and aircraft. I mean, think about some of the awful plane designs that actually did fly, like
I'm going to talk about it next show. But
wing planes and
but here's something we can talk about next show. I want to get into human-animal hybridization.
Oh my God, I could go on in Egypt about that one.
No, but they're doing it now in Japan, and I sent it to everybody because I want you to read about it.
I saw that.
They have they'll morally terminate it if it becomes a certain age. It's not to be looked at. So,
but then why are we doing it?
Because they want to be able to, I don't know, to prolong human life or to advance. It's biological. Listen, I don't know. So they said it so they could grow organs. They could grow organs in certain animals for people who get like cancer of the lungs or whatever. That's what they said. But listen, and each one they create can only live like 6 years, and then they terminate it.
That's terrible.
So what if it's more human? What if it's more human? Like, what if it is like
it has a certain amount of human DNA? I don't think they can. I would imagine.
Well, they're allowed. I'm going to send you the article, Jeff. It's fucking weird.
There's a movie on Netflix about this, by the way.
I'm sure, but this is a real thing.
Or something.
Sweet Tooth. That's right. It was called Sweet Tooth. It was a series. That's right, Ange.
I'll have to check that out. It's like the doctor on South Park who makes like the 5-assed monkey and all the
but they're doing this for science for like to grow human organs to whatever. But the thing is I know there's a lot of people that don't believe that your animal has a soul, right?
I don't believe anything.
Which soul is getting into your body at that time? You have something that's running you. You have some electro thing that's running you that differentiates between a dog and a person. So when you mix that, what are you mixing now on a level on a quantum level where you, manifestation or a different universe, or what are you doing? Right? Yeah, like we've seen during conception on a human, when the semen goes in the egg, it goes pow, and this big flash happens, like electric flash,
disco ball.
So so what are you doing when you do this? I just think it's Japan. I know they just approved it, but still shouldn't be able to kill something human or animal at 6 years. Well, I know, but it's so,
especially animals, humans.
But if you're creating human hybrid animals, you're going to be mixing a whole bunch of different things into a species. Obviously that we've seen.
You're going to create a race of
shouldn't be done.
Millions. You're going to have like, oh man, I shouldn't have mixed like a duck with a buffalo or and a human.
But what's the 100%, Jeff? But what's the difference between doing it? They'll probably use hogs, I would think, first, hogs and humans. Because they have those. They have those at home. I've already seen those hybrids. They're at Walmart.
Hog cells, don't
but
they?
I think that. I want to get into it. We need to talk about it next show, Jeff.
Yeah, no, definitely.
That's something I want to get into because that's really. I don't know that I'm going to say it's bad or good because I don't know yet.
It depends. If you're the guy who's the recipient of one of them, it's very good. If you're missing an ear.
But if you are the hybrid, that might not be good either.
I agree. Yeah, if you're in the reject pile, well, do you ever see that movie Freaks with Randy Quaid?
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Yes. Like Jamaican giant eyeballs with legs that run around and stuff like that. I just imagine like a whole government warehouse full of shit like that.
Well, that's like they say there are these animals. Oh, you can't hybridize this animal with that animal, and it does it.
They do
even
it all
if
the time.
even
Like
and that's another thing I think they've lied to us about. I think that stuff has been going on for a very long time.
Yeah, I mean,
think about. So, like, go off of what Troy just said, where they are like, "Oh, we'll just kill it at 6 years." Which why 6? Like, whatever. Anyway, that's a different topic. But
because it's the number of the beast,
obviously. So when you go back into mythology, when we talk about like the Minotaur, which was half bull, half human, we have no idea what they were trying to inbreed and do at that time that took and created mutation. We don't know. We don't know. We just call it mythology because it can't be real. But now you have proof through.
Well, the thing that stopped the thing that stops it, Brittany, like, even some human beings, if you copulate with a different human, and a lot of people have miscarriages because the body looks at it as a virus and they attack it and kill it, right? Because so the thing that they can do now is they can buy
does that.
They can inseminate the egg now and bypass all of the body's defense mechanisms that stop that.
Right, but who's to say that they didn't have that technique back then? We don't know.
I'm not saying that they didn't. However, like if it was done naturally and organically, if the semen hit the body,
wouldn't do it.
Otherwise, think about what would be going on in Nebraska and stuff up there. There'd be man sheeps all the time. There'd be human sheep hybrids. Guys fuck the shit out of those things all the time.
Oh yeah, dude.
Is anybody listening? They fuck sheep up in the western United States. They put their feet in the boots and they fuck them. And if you think they finish on the side, they don't. So if it wasn't something stopping it, they can bypass it now with technology, and that's my point. So there is no moral code with bypassing.
Man, I was when it's just getting back to the new job. When I was interviewing at this hospital, she was telling me, she's like, "Yeah, we have a lung transplant unit. There's like 12 healing transplants right now." I'm like, "Geez, at one hospital in Gainesville, Florida." And they have a whole kidney and liver. I mean, you could transplant almost anything short of the central nervous system, the brain, because I don't think they could figure out.
They'll figure that out. If they haven't, they'll figure that out if they haven't yet, Jeff, for sure.
3D print, like for something, a printer that you can have in your house, they make heart valves and things like that.
It's unreal, isn't it? Unreal, isn't it?
It's unbelievable. Like, my heart's not doing too good. Let me just get on my computer here.
Yeah, and he who has the most money wins.
The urgent care and get that shit put in.
He who has the most money wins.
Right? I mean, tell me that it doesn't make you think, like, you look at Magic Johnson. The guy was diagnosed with HIV, 25 years ago or more? Yep. Never a single symptom. It's not just because he lives healthy. Anybody can live healthy. There's got to be a little something extra in there that he can afford.
Yeah, if you have the money, you can. Amazing things can happen to you.
Absolutely, you can afford the best care and. Sad.
Hell, even our government is ran by money. So.
Oh, we're all ran by money. That's why me and Jeff leave the house.
Yeah.
So on the next.
If it wasn't for money, man, I would have all my weed delivered, and that would be that.
Yeah, stay on your own little piece of property. Don't come here. I get really upset when anybody comes to my front door.
Oh my God.
I saw someone trying to come up and sell Boy Scout cookies. I'm like, get the fuck out of here.
You do not
don't come up here.
Salesman and come to my door, especially if I'm either sleeping or I'm comfortable laying on the couch. I'll take Captain outside with me. I'll sick the fucking dogs on you. I do not care.
Yeah, why are we like this? Like, we don't do that anymore, number one. And number two, you're bothering me now. Stop bothering me.
That's what it is. The first guy that comes, you're like, all right, I'm not interested. If they weren't so pushy and, I don't want any of that. Well, what are you using for your such and such? I'm like, why the fuck do you care? I don't want what you have. That's the only thing you need to know.
Yep, and except I get really mad about it. Even if you're selling, don't bring your kid up here to someone's house to sell them cookies.
I always
go online like everybody else or stand in front of Publix.
Oh, I don't mind the cookies, man. I'll run a train on some Thin Mints when you put them in the freezer.
I have heard that.
I just don't want anybody coming up around my shit if you don't have to be. I don't want you here.
Yeah. No,
I'm telling you. I don't know you. Stay the fuck off my property.
You want a kid never to come to your house again. The next Girl Scout and mom that come to your house be like, look, I don't want to get anybody in trouble here, but I'm not supposed to be within 500 feet of a child. They'll never come to your house again.
Until the next idiot.
Torches and pitchforks.
Yeah.
Or somebody will set fire to it.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, no, it annoys the shit out of me. Salesmen and pushy salesmen just make me fucking crazy. Like I've had
Yeah,
to
I just don't answer the door, Jeff. I just stopped answering the door.
yeah, I answer the door naked. Like, yeah, come on in. I'm at
Yeah, I
answer
bet they
naked.
would love that.
Well, and that would be horrible because I can only imagine what somebody would do to you after that. Like, well,
Right?
my property.
Oh, it's the
But yeah.
best to do when fucking like, you get like 11 Jehovah's Witnesses coming to the door. You'd be like, hey ladies, bare ass naked.
Oh
Maybe
my
like
God.
helicopter action for good measure. You know.
Oh my God.
Fucking terrible.
I just don't answer.
Well, we are 1 hour and 15 minutes
on
into
that-
the Motley
and
Croc
on that
show.
note,
I did want to say one other really cool,
I'm not
interesting
spoiling
historical fact, which
Okay,
I
one
actually
historical
found
fact.
that I found really fascinating. So at the Colosseum in Rome,
Okay.
they would actually fill it with shallow water to do
Okay.
mock sea attacks. And they would bring in some of the larger land mammals like rhinos and elephants and larger cats to mock sea monsters that they potentially could come up against while out in the sea.
They should have got some octopi or
They
giant squid.
actually did this in shallow water. Is that not amazing? It was great.
Yeah, I feel bad for the animals.
Yeah, like they didn't according to the historical documents, they didn't do anything to the animals. It was more or less just to navigate through, like if you have like a larger like kraken, what they believed it at the time would be the representation
was
of an
real.
elephant. It was like a giant squid, but you would need an elephant with its tusk and its long nose to help, like its tusks and its long nose to basically help give the illusion of like a long tentacle
that's awesome.
right, coming up onto the boat. So it's just cool. Like I found that fascinating because when you look at the Colosseum, you wouldn't think that they could put water and flood it, but it was, they didn't necessarily flood it, but they put in shallow enough water to do mock small boats.
There are aqueducts and stuff all around that, right? Around the Colosseum and things.
Yep.
Yeah.
There's underground tunneling and caves where they kept certain slaves for the fighting and the gladiators and stuff like that. But I just found that super fascinating, actually.
They invented indoor plumbing.
I know. And they touch about it in the new
And
Gladiator.
they probably use cave lions. And that's scary.
Oh, for sure. They probably did.
Okay.
They probably did.
Because those things were big motherfuckers back in the day. Yeah. Exploring the Unknown, just want to let you guys know we're posting episodes Sunday. So Brittany and I did a podcast for Exploring the Unknown, and they're going to be posting it Sunday. It's called Exploring the Unknown. Good bunch of guys. They're really putting this stuff together now and really getting it out there. So, any way to help them, I'd be glad to do that and really get their things going. They're really doing really well with it, and it was fun. It was fun going on there. Fun going on there. I think they're on. I think if I'm not mistaken, Jeff, don't you guys have Spotify, YouTube? Aren't you guys pretty much all over? You guys have it up there?
YouTube, whatever.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, we'll be doing that. We went on there and talked about some cool stuff and different things that we did that kind of touch on kind of what we do here, but just more so along the line, answer a lot of questions about Thunderbirds, gigantism. Took a little bit more of a science approach to mythology, if you will. So look forward to that. I want to see it too. I hope it came out good. We had a good time with them, so it's a lot of fun. And as we do every week, we appreciate everybody coming out here to the Motley Croc Show and talking with us. And like I said, this isn't meant to be a big hit podcast show. We just like to hang out and have a good time with everybody and really just a meeting of the minds. And for those of you that make it and come in and say hello, thank you for doing that. And even if you got to come and go, we appreciate you coming in. And if you want to check out our past shows, please do. It's on YouTube, the Motley Croc Show. You can go back and look at anything we posted. It's all ran live. We don't edit it. So we slip up and say crazy shit sometimes. And if you watch long enough, you'll find something to offend you. Until next week.
Yeah, that's true.
Until next week. We appreciate
you.
Hi,
Tony.
What's up, Copernica? What's up? You're a little late. You better catch the show. But yeah, you guys check it out on YouTube and check us out. We'll see you next week. I will be in Belize, so I'm going to try to do this from Belize. We'll see if we can. If not, I'll figure out a way to do a pre-record show with you guys before we go, so we have something to air, and that way we'll pick a cool topic and have a lot of fun. And I'll get with you guys and we'll put something together. And
are you guys staying with Marissa out in the jungle, or?
Oh no, we're staying in Placencia. We're just going out there. It's Brittany's got some stuff she has to handle. She won't be able to make it, so it's just going to be me and Flavio bumming out this time.
Throw a blonde wig on me. I'll take her ticket and be like, "Hi, I'm Brittany."
There you go.
They're like, whoa, yeah. So it'd be me and Flavio, and we're gonna stay there. We got
and paranormal investigator.
That's right.
Perfect. I can pass.
They're like, Brittany, your face is so hairy.
That's right.
But anyways,
that's a pituitary problem. What do you want from me?
So until next week, everybody have a great time. We will see you when we see you. Hopefully next week, and you know where we'll be. So we'll update that. All right, guys, have a great night, and we'll see you soon.